my precious lovelies. My name is Kat Moonchild. I am a psychic, I am a medium, and I am also a Reiki master. Welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, hit the bell notification for future videos. And you can also find me online on Facebook and on Instagram at Kat Moonchild. Spelling will be found next to me, as always. Today I actually felt compelled to make this video. This is kind of off my schedule or off the track of what I'm normally doing. But it's been kind of a common theme or a common occurrence in what I've been seeing in my readings lately, especially today. And what I wanted to talk about was actually a form of a spiritual experience or spiritual awakening called the Dark Night of the Soul. Spelling found here. I will also try to link some articles down below that I found helpful for description of Dark Night of the Soul for those that are curious to do some extra reading. And I feel like this video is important because it addresses something called shadow work. Spelling found here. Exactly spelled the way it sounds in metaphysical practices or in spiritual practices when we're going through a spiritual awakening. A lot of people, when they think of a spiritual awakening, it's actually very euphoric, it's actually very blissful, it's actually very peaceful. You feel in alignment or in perfect harmony with the universe. For a lot of people, when they're first going through a spiritual awakening, it can be kind of like, hold on to the roller coaster, things about to get cray cray. But it tends to be a very positive experience for some people. So in the enlightenment process or in a spiritual awakening process, for a lot of people, it's actually very positive at first, but the next step in that process is actually delving into our shadow. Now, you may have heard me use this term before or talk about this term before in previous videos, and the shadow is our ego aspect. Our ego aspect is our fear-based reality, our fear-based mentalities. It's the source of our anger, our hurt, our pain, our jealousy, and things along those lines. And what shadow work does is it helps break through illusion, and it helps break through things that we perceive that are incorrect. So for those of you that are more familiar with tarot, an event that causes this kind of spiritual awakening, like the Dark Night of the Soul, is something like the Tower card and tarot. It's a major catalytic change that usually occurs in our lives that brings forth the spiritual experience of the Dark Night of the Soul. And it can leave us feeling lost, confused, angry, overwhelmed, disenchanted, disengaged, angry at the universe. We may feel almost like a sense of a fall from grace, or we may feel disconnected from spirit or abandoned by spirit. And the point of this experience is actually to draw us closer to our spirituality and to draw us closer to oneness with the entirety of the universe. A lot of us see the world in a duality, in a separatedness, as good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. And the idea in a lot of spiritual concepts is that there is no good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. Sometimes things just are the way that they are, and it would be infallible to say it's easy to just see something as not wrong, especially when we're faced with things that are tragic, or things that are very heartbreaking, or things that are very painful, or when people cause damage. But in spiritual concepts, the idea is that there's always a reason, there's always a purpose to these things that occur, and sometimes they're not always very clear. Sometimes we don't see the big picture, and that's the divine mystery of it all. And Dark Night of the Soul helps us regain a sense of trust in the workings of the universe, or the mysteries of the universe. And I've said in other videos, psychics don't know it all. We are not always privy to the mysteries of the universe. We are not always privy to the higher plan, or the higher power, or the higher design always. And that's the difference between free will and higher design, and sometimes we can't tell the difference between the two. And Dark Night of the Soul helps assist us in getting in touch with our fear-based illusions in our life and our fear-based mentality in our life. And that's not to say that I've experienced several dark nights of the soul where I felt completely disconnected or disenchanted with my spirituality again and again and again. And it's always about finding our way back to our spirituality and finding that connection again, our purpose, our meaning, and understanding that the divine is always within. We are never separated. We are one with the divine connection. And Dark Night of the Soul helps us see that separation is an illusion. What to do when you're experiencing a dark night of the soul? I always say go back to source. Really. My complaint is with source. It's like if I'm having a problem with a person, I need to go to that person to talk with that person to resolve the issue. And it's the same concept with a higher power. If we're having a problem with our higher power, and this can leave us feeling guilty, a lot of us has been taught that we're not allowed to have issue or take up issue with a higher power, but it's a normal human reaction, especially when we've experienced some kind of tragedy in our lives, the loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a home, things that shake our sense of security. It's so easy to have faith when things are going well or when things are going right. It's so easy to trust in that divine connection, but it's when things are hard, when we need that the most, that we feel like we're being left behind, that it's so important we go back to that connection. And you want to go directly to source with issue, with problem, and ask for signs or messages. And sometimes you may not get an answer. Sometimes that answer is within, and when we say go within, it's just to realize it was always there all along. And when we get silence, or we feel like our spirits have pulled away, our angels have pulled away, our higher power has pulled away, they're still there, they're still watching, they're still listening. But sometimes we're asking the wrong questions, or sometimes they're waiting for us to decide what we need to do for ourselves. We need to go through a rebirth. We need to go through a healing process. We need to go through transcendence and letting go and accepting and release. And it's allowing us to go through the grieving process of acceptance, because we're fighting and we're struggling against our reality. And that's what Dark Night of the Soul is. It's the fight and the struggle and the fear. And when we feel so alone, it's so hard not to want to fight against what is occurring. And you can ask, how can I not fight? How can I not fight against what is going on? It doesn't mean not to stand your ground for things that deserve defending. Injustice is injustice, but it means to accept that people will do what they're going to do. People are the way that they are. Things happen the way that they happen. And that's not within your control. You can't control events or other people. You can only control your own reaction to those events and to other people. Sometimes it feels like we have no control over ourselves in the moment too. That does happen, but it's up to us to deal with our reactions, to deal with our emotions. It's up to us. That's the thing that we do have control over. We have control over our reality in terms of how we choose to respond to that reality. And we do manifest as well. So all this stuff starts kind of tying in together, and all this stuff starts playing a part into each other. And it can get a little complicated. Not gonna lie, it can get a little complicated. But Dark Night of the Soul, understand that there is a purpose. There is a reason why. It's not just to make things difficult on you. It's not just to make things hard on you. It's not to just make you feel as though everything doesn't matter. Dark Night of the Soul serves a purpose spiritually in helping us reconnect to source. And the only thing I can say is I remember the first time I really very deeply experienced it, I was trying to be of service, and I had experienced several deaths in a row with some friends that I had lost years ago. This is about 2013, so it's been a while. It's been 6 years since I had my first real deep dark night of the soul, and I remember I was experiencing conflict, strife, people were speaking poorly of me, and people will do that. You can't control people being mad at you. We're human. We have human relationships. People disagree, people fight, people do this, people do that, people form their own opinion of you, they don't like you. And I at that time could not deal with people not liking me very well due to my self-esteem, and I'm okay with admitting that. It's still something I struggle with, but not everyone is going to like me, and I have to be okay with that. And not everyone's going to agree with me, and I have to be okay with that, and everyone's going to have their own story. But the point of this story is when I was losing those people that I love so deeply in my life, and they were so sick. One person was on the edge of dying, another person had just died, and I believe I had lost somebody shortly after that as well. I just had a very, very difficult time accepting those circumstances. And it was what it was. One of them was a huge injustice medically. It didn't have to happen, but it did. And of course, I wanted somebody to blame. And I was angry at the universe that they allowed this to happen. I was angry at the world. I was angry at anything I could be angry about because I was grieving the loss of my friend. And I remember going to the beach late at night. It was easily 3 or 4 in the morning, and I just walked into the water, into the waves, up to my knees, and looked at the sky and said, "What do you want from me? What is it that you want? Why? Why?" And that was my big thing for many, many years, is why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did this bad thing happen? Why did this bad thing happen? Why? Why? And the answer was always because. It is what it is. Let it go. And that made me very, very, very angry. It made me angrier. But I realized that it's true. Because there's a million reasons why. There's a million reasons why that malpractice happened or that medical injustice happened and why they got away with it. There's a million reasons why. And it happens. And it's not fair. But there's not going to be a reason why that is going to be enough to justify my hurt and my sorrow. There's not going to be a reason why that will be enough to satisfy my need to know why. And that's why it's just because. It happened because of a million reasons. And none of those reasons will be enough for me to be okay with what happened. And that's the dark night of the soul, is when we stop struggling, stop asking why, stop fighting, accept it and allow the hurt to just exist and move forward, and realize that Spirit didn't do this to cause us pain. Spirit didn't do this to cause us suffering, and Spirit didn't do this to cause us grief and hurt. This is part of the mechanics of this world. There's sadness, sad things, tragedy. There's pain, there's suffering. There's also hope and strength and love and courage and value. And finding the silver lining in all the meanings of all the things that have occurred and existed is how we heal. And it's through when they talk of the grace of Spirit. Spirit is what brings us hope again, peace, strength, courage, value, mercy. The angels, our spirit guides. It's a support. It's an aid. It's to help us help ourselves. It doesn't fix it automatically. Miracles do occur. But there are times that we have to save ourselves. And by asking Spirit to help us save ourselves, that's what the point of the dark night of the soul is to surrender and trust and have faith and allow Spirit to guide us again. Guide us on the way out. I hope maybe this helped someone today. Maybe explained a couple things, maybe not enough, but I just wanted to share some experiences with you about the dark night of the soul, what it is, what it does. It is a spiritual experience. It is something that connects us with our shadow self, and our shadow self that's in need of healing, our shadow self that's in need of attention, the piece of us that wants to be loved and accepted. Because spirituality isn't just about the pretty things about spirituality. Spirituality is also about accepting all of who we are, the things we don't like, the things we do like, and finding forgiveness and self-acceptance. So, thank you so much for listening today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Happy Saturday. Unless I upload this tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure I'll upload it today. I love you all. Please take care. Namaste.